The Department of Veterans Affairs is preparing to cut about 80,000 jobs.
That would return the agency to 2019 staffing levels of just under 400,000. An internal memo sent last week instructed top-level VA officials to prepare for an agency-wide reorganization in August. It also calls for agency officials to work with DOJ to move out aggressively while taking a pragmatic and disciplined approach to the Trump administration's goals.
Last week, Secretary Doug Collins said the layoffs would not mean cuts to veterans' health care or benefits. Joining us now to discuss is Republican strategist and founder, CEO of VetComm, Kate Monroe. Kate, what is the best way for Doug Collins to approach this? He's been tasked with paring down the bureaucracy at the VA, but we also know that veterans are an important constituency to President Trump, and he needs to be very careful that no veterans are fired or none of their benefits don't get to them.
Yeah, as a CEO of VetComm, last year we served 10,000 veterans. Likely this year we'll serve 25,000 veterans on their pursuit to get their compensation. And in all of these dealings with the VA, I can tell you that the bureaucracy is a 10 of 10. It's almost as though they're a big insurance company that's gone out of their way to ensure that they spend more money not paying veterans than they spend actually paying veterans. I love Doug Collins for this role, having been a chaplain. I was assaulted when I was in the Marine Corps, and it was a chaplain that helped me overcome that. I think his heart for veterans is going to shine here. They do need a top-down overhaul. Happy to see DOJ involved as well. What we were seeing in this time period was many people working from home. Many DEI and woke whole departments were created. Empty buildings, just like you find in every other facet of the federal government. So we're excited at VetComm for what this is going to do for veterans. We see this as a big win.
Kate, let me ask you something. I've never understood, as someone who has family that's been in the military, everybody gives lip service to, we got to take care of our veterans, and they're so important. We wouldn't have our freedom if it wasn't for them, which is absolutely true. Yet I see veterans get the short end of the stick so often. Why does that happen, and what needs to be done to change that so that that veterans are going to be taken care of?
Well, I think there's two big things that play into how easily it is to overtake veterans and set them aside. One, they branded this "thank you for your service" mantra that our country has taken on, and that's sort of where we stop. Hey, thank you for your service. Now march on. Good luck with the rest of your life. The second thing, too, is that they rely on the anxiety that veterans have. Veterans have so much anxiety about this process, about their relationship with the VA, just about their lives in general. They're very hypervigilant. They're perfectionists, and they get analysis paralysis going through the system. And quite frankly, the VA relies on that. So in my opinion, we need to make this a more hassle-free experience. It's sad that organizations like mine have to exist, but there are 10 million veterans that are literally collecting nothing, and we're barely making a dent. So I think them cleaning up in Washington, making their processes more efficient. I've actually said that I think all veterans from Vietnam era on should be given 50% and given a year to come and make their claims. You have veterans that are sleeping on people's porches. They're sleeping in their cars. 1.3 million of them at the brink of homelessness, while we were worried more about housing migrants and giving them health care. So I think it's a lack of caring for our heroes. Freedom isn't free. And I think that Trump, Vance, DOJ, Collins, I think all of them together are going to get this cleaned up in short order, but make it less of a hassle. It doesn't need to be such an adversarial situation between the VA and the veterans.
Kate, what's the number one complaint of the veterans that you work with about the VA? What is the one thing that they would like to see reformed that make the biggest difference in their lives?
Well, it's a twofold question. There's two facets of the VA, one being the Veterans Health Care Administration. So on that side, like the hospitals and the care side, they would like to see the return of community care because that was giving them continuity of care for their mental health, right? When our mental health is good, the rest of our life can be good. So I think that's one big thing that they would like to see. The second thing is the veterans feel that there is a concerted effort made not to pay them. They don't send their records in a timely manner. They try to force them to get help for free, and this free help gets them rated for about 10%, when in reality, the difference between what they are rated for, $170 a month, the delta is almost $3,700 a month to the $4,000 that they should be collecting. So they need to stop acting like an insurance company and act like a part of the government that actually cares to make sure that veterans stay inside, stay on this side of the dirt, and actually receive the benefits by way of compensation that they are owed.
Yeah, Kate, some veterans I've talked to who may have physical challenges, a result of injury, perhaps serving, it's almost like a game they got to go through to get approval to get coverage and to get something paid for. And you can't call it this, you got to call it that. And I mean, it's very frustrating. I'm not sure that's a question, but I'm sure you get that every day.
Oh my gosh, every single day. We talk to 200 to 300 veterans per day in our organization that are considering using our service. And that's because they're at the end of their rope. They've tried and they failed. They tried it on their own. They tried a free service. They tried a law firm. And now they're just looking for help. They're out there waving their white flag like stranded on an island. Why does it need to be so difficult? And as I said before, it's because it's on purpose. It is by design. And I hate to say that to the veteran community, but quite frankly, you should take VetComm up on at least a chat, because you're probably 4 months away from being $1,000 to $4,000 a month richer. It's our job to remove the anxiety. It's our job to bear the burden of all that hassle. It's our job to prepare you to go and win, because sadly, this is like being in war. If they're not ready to go to battle with the VA, they are sure to lose. And there's a lot at stake in lifetime benefits.
All right, Kate Monroe, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.